Welcome to Tentative Title with Tim. This is a podcast about creativity, about process, about filmmaking, and about screenwriting. Welcome back, everybody. Today's topic is, well, you're doing it wrong. That is what today's topic is about, because a lot of what we do has nothing really to do with other people necessarily. The big struggle that a lot of artists and writers have is internal. It is the fight, it is the war within ourselves when we know that we want to create something, but we have all of these different obstacles set up inside of us that hinder us from possibly reaching our potential or getting us to just do the basics of sitting down and writing. I am no different than anybody else who has these kinds of struggles. It is part of the disposition of being an artist, and that is a struggle in itself, just to show up to do the work every day. It's can be extremely hard, and as I mentioned before, in this like pandemic kind of world, it's very hard to want to do anything because we don't know what the future is in terms of like any work that we create and what we're able to do with it, and if there's even going to be a need for it, because there are so many more important things that we could be doing at this time to help out our communities and to make sure that we're staying safe and keeping each other healthy and you know, just keeping our sanity above all else. And then on top of that, we have this little voice in our head, which may be from somebody in our past who once saw us try to do something and said, "You are doing it wrong." And they might have been right, and you might have been doing it wrong. But for some reason, it ingrained this critic in your head that constantly says, whatever you do, you're going to be doing it wrong. And I don't want to say that, like, you should snuff out that voice altogether. That voice is helpful when you're editing your script, when you're in the mode of analyzing what it is that you've created. But it's not helpful at the beginning. It's not helpful when you have this spark of inspiration, when you have this idea, when you have these characters, you have this plot, you have something that you know that you want to see, or you have something that you know you want to read. Like, you are just excited. You don't know why, but there's something about that story that just is hooking into you, and it needs to come out. It needs to find its way onto that page, and then you can worry about the repercussions of it. So yes, we are doing it wrong. We are always going to be doing it wrong, because the initial point of creating is always going to lead us down a path that is unrefined, that is messy, that has so many contradictions and plot holes and you name it. Yes, we are doing it wrong. But that's a great starting point, because then knowing that you're doing it wrong, you have different layers and different phases that you can go through to make it right, to find where the problems are, to have people read it and give feedback, and to craft it into what it's supposed to be. And that's a great thing. And to let that voice in your head stop you from doing anything is just, it wins if you let that happen. And society loses because we lose out on a story that you were so passionate about, that you were sure that nobody else has seen these characters in this kind of way. We lose out. So before you let that voice dictate what you're going to do, just know it's going to be there. Just know that it's always going to try to get you to stop. And keep going. Keep doing the work. Keep putting words to the page. If you're a filmmaker and you have footage, keep working that footage. There are always going to be things about it that you're not going to like. But some of the greatest cinema has problems that the filmmakers saw and other people see as great moments. There are mistakes in cinema that just happened and now they're iconic. So, as much as you might think that you're doing it wrong, when it's put out into the world will see it without its problems. Or at least without the problems that you see. I don't want to say that the things we create don't have problems, because they do. There's no perfect work out there. But having the confidence that each time you do it, you get better at it, and even though you might still be doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong gracefully. And you keep going, and you keep saying, this is how I do it. And I'm going to learn how to do it better, but this time around, I messed up. I still made something, and I will do better next time. And that's all we can really do, because if we let any mistake hinder us, then we will never create something ever again. And that's not what the world needs. The world needs our creations. The world needs to be inspired. The world needs to find hope. The world needs to understand that there are other people who feel the same way, who have worries and doubts and all these things. And they get to kind of like project themselves onto the characters that we create and see how they solve the problems and see how they are handling a situation that the audience might find themselves in at this particular moment. So yeah, let's stop feeling guilty about doing things wrong. The people around us are going to help us get through it as we help them get through it. And there are blind spots that we all have, and there are blind spots that I'm called out for all the time, and I call people out on as much as I can. But I'm always trying to fix myself first. It's going to take a little while, but that's my motivation, at least. So let's keep going. Let's keep doing this, and eventually we can look back and laugh at all the little mistakes, all the times we did it wrong, and say, you know what? I'm never going to do it like that again, but at least I learned, and at least I had to go through that process in order to figure out what actually worked for me. So with that, I want to thank you again for listening, and You know, same thing week to week. Wash your hands, wear a mask, be safe with one another, keep each other, safe, and we'll get through this. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Bye.